Today, gas hit a new high, $5 a gallon on average nationally. And new data shows inflation is the worst it's been since 1981.
Average American, rather, is carrying more than $96,000 in debt.
So a new Gallup poll finds 61%, or 3 out of 5 Americans, are suffering financial strain as a result of rising prices.
The average American family is about to hit a huge financial wall. A study conducted by Bloomberg found that more than half of 526 respondents said that personal consumption will shrink in early 2024, which would be the first quarterly decline since the onset of the pandemic. Another 21% said the reversal will happen even sooner, in the last quarter of this year, as high borrowing costs eat into household budgets and savings completely vanish. This discredits any soft landing expectation that many are having regarding the economy. Researchers at the Federal Reserve Bank of San Francisco say the excess savings that have helped customers get through the price spike will run out in the current quarter. That's in the coming days, weeks, and months. And then what happens? We are beginning to see families under increased financial pressure. Delinquency rates on credit cards and auto loans are rising as households feel the financial squeeze after interest rates hikes. These rate hikes are eating into household budgets, as you can see with this graph, which calculates household interest payments, excluding mortgages, which is shooting upward in a sharp pattern. And another kind of debt, student loans, is about to resume for millions of Americans. This is going to be very difficult for millions who have had payments frozen in the past few years. A majority of investors in the survey pointed toward the declining availability and soaring cost of credit in that mortgage rates are near 2-decade highs, these being the biggest obstacles for consumers in the coming months. The economy's fate hinges on what the US consumer will do next. At this point, the US consumer is putting everything on the credit card. This past summer, credit card spending sent aggregate balances over $1 trillion for the first time ever. Total credit card indebtedness rose by $45 billion in April through June period, an increase of more than 4%. Another commonality is that as credit card use increased, so did delinquency rates. The Fed's measure of credit card debt 30 or more days late climbed to 7.2% in the second quarter, up from 6.5% in Q1 and the highest rate since the first quarter of 2012.
Well, David, rising prices, rising rates, they have the majority of Americans anxious and confused about what to do with their money. 7 out of 10 adults, 70%, are stressed about their personal finances. And 57% of those making $100,000 or more per year are financially stressed, too.
This year, the average American has found themselves facing a multitude of hardships, which have significantly impacted their daily lives. The challenges range from economic woes and rising living costs to supply chain disruptions and ongoing effects of the pandemic. In 2023, the US labor market remains volatile. While job growth rates vary each month, the unemployment rate hovers around 5%. That's still very high. According to the US Bureau of Labor Statistics, the labor force participation rate has fluctuated between 61.7% and 62.5%. throughout 2023. This shows a wavering confidence of people in finding stable employment. The inflation rate in the US has surged in 2023, reaching an annual rate of around 6.2% as of August this year, the highest in several decades. This increase significantly outpaces any sort of wage growth.
Tens of millions of American families continue to struggle to afford 7 days' worth of groceries. That's according to a new study conducted by Hunger Free America. The number of people who self-reported being without enough food increased more than 29%.
Expenses such as food and energy have seen substantial price increases, with food prices rising approximately 7% over the year. Home prices have climbed, with the median existing home price reaching $410,000 in August this year, making home ownership increasingly unaffordable for many. Rental prices have also surged, with the average monthly rents for a 2-bedroom apartment in major cities over $2,500, pricing out millions of people. Supply chain disruptions persist, affecting industries across the board. For instance, the semiconductor shortage has impacted the automotive sector, leading to an increase in the price of new cars by over 12%. Delays in shipping and production have caused significant increases in the cost of consumer goods, with some items experiencing price hikes of 15% or more. And healthcare remains very high, with the average annual premium for employer-sponsored health insurance plans exceeding $7,000 for single coverage and $20,000 for family coverage in 2023. And prescription drugs continue to rise, with some medications seeing in price increases of more than 10% annually. These are just some of the hardships that Americans are facing this year. It's clear that inflation is destroying many American families. This year, many families are reallocating their budgets to accommodate rising prices. According to a survey by the Federal Reserve, 44% of Americans reported that they had reduced their discretionary spending due to inflation. Rent prices have increased substantially in many cities. For instance, in cities like New York and San Francisco, the average monthly rent for two-bedroom apartments exceeds $4,000, making housing affordability a significant concern for many families. Even gas prices have become very unaffordable for many, with the average price per gallon exceeding $4 in many parts of the country. The typical American household spends $709 more in July than they did 2 years ago to buy the same goods and services. At the same time, real earnings have remained stuck at 2019 levels. US households are poised to run out of excess savings accumulated since the pandemic by as early as the end of September. That's only a couple weeks away. In 2021, Americans had amassed a record $2.1 trillion in excess savings, spurred by government stimulus checks and a drop in person spending. But that had fallen to just $190 billion by June, Fed researchers suggested, and was projected to be falling at a rate of $100 billion per month. In comparison with other countries, Ned Davis' research chart adapted from Fed's findings suggests that the US is now the first economy to have used up all of its excess savings. It is also concerning to see that the use of buy now, pay later, a classic sign that consumers are no longer flush with cash, is rising, as you can see with this chart. These numbers are really worrying and will put the American consumer in a really tough place over the next few months. Despite an aggressive tightening campaign by the Federal Reserve, US consumption continues to be robust. That is the main reason why US growth has been stronger than forecast this year. Virtually everyone agrees that the explanation lies in the extraordinary stimulus payments paid out during the pandemic that left consumers with money in their pockets, meaning that higher interest rates had less effect than they usually might. However, now, as you can see, the savings and stimulus is running out. What will happen now when no one has any money to pay for anything?